oh man, Jasmine Crockett is pissed, and she has every reason to be. You know why she's pissed, because you watched this show. We were ahead of the game explaining the broadcast rules and the equal time rules and Stephen Colbert's lies, his deception, his scam. And of course, Jasmine Crockett is pissed. And meanwhile, we've got a whole litany of professional media types who really don't know anything about the media. We're going to educate all of them coming up in just a second. Also, Zohran Mamdani, who'd have guessed a Marxist would act like a classic Marxist? I mean, a Stalinist. I mean, a Maoist. He is holding the working class poor in New York hostage, a gun to their head, so he gets his way, so he gets more money from the state of New York. We'll explain it all to you coming up in a second. And Kevin O'Leary, well, he's speaking for all of us on CNN last night. He called it like he sees it, and Abby Phillip wasn't very happy about it because, well, he said they were all nuts, which they are. That and a whole lot more coming up right now. My name's Larry O'Connor, and you can call me Larry. Thank you so much for watching the show today. And while we're just having a quick 10-second pause, why don't you give us a thumbs up? I haven't asked you here at the top of the show in a while to give us a like and give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our show, because it really does help boost what we're doing here. It builds our audience, and it builds the community that you get to share and enjoy there in the live chat. So do that. We would appreciate it very much. If you watch this show, you know that yesterday we were ahead of the game explaining exactly what was going on with Stephen Colbert, James Talarico, CBS, the FCC, and the Trump administration. Bottom line, Colbert lied. Talarico's his accomplice, and Jasmine Crockett is the one who got screwed in all of it. And by the afternoon yesterday, the truth came out. We were validated, and Jasmine Crockett, well, she was pissed. I mean, she's trying to hide it, but we'll show you just how pissed she was. That's coming up in a minute. First, though, here, take a look at From the Potato here. Brian Stelter, of all people. See, when our political enemies, when people who disagree with us validate what we have been saying all along, inadvertently saying, yeah, you know, that crazy right-wing streamer Larry O'Connor, he knew what he was talking about. We like to show that to you. It's a bit of a victory lap. This just in from CBS. The Late Show was not prohibited by CBS from broadcasting the interview with Representative James Talarico. Yeah, told you so. Go ahead, watch our show yesterday. The show was provided legal guidance that the broadcast could trigger the FCC equal time rule for two other candidates, including Representative Jasmine Crockett. See, again, it didn't have anything to do with Republicans. It had nothing to do with the Republican candidates for Senate in Texas. It had nothing to do with Trump. It had to do with equal time for Jasmine Crockett and the other Democrat candidates. Ask yourself, why doesn't Stephen Colbert want Jasmine Crockett to be on his show? And for everybody who's like, oh, but she was on the show. She was just on the show in May. That was before she was a declared candidate. Now that she's a declared candidate, the rules change in terms of equal time, number one. Number two, from Colbert's perspective, and please, as you analyze this story, don't think of Colbert as a talk show host. Don't think of him as an entertainer or a comedian. Don't even think of him as a news guy or a journalist. He's an operative. He's an activist. He's an advocate. He's an apparatchik. He's trying to help the party. The party does not want Jasmine Crockett to be nominated. So that's the answer to the hypothetical, rhetorical question, why wouldn't Stephen Colbert want Jasmine Crockett on? Because she's good television. But here we are 2 weeks before Election Day for the primary in Texas. Here we are in the middle of early voting for the primary in Texas. The last thing Colbert and the party wants is for Jasmine Crockett to get that kind of attention. And the one thing they do want is for James Talarico to get that kind of attention. That's why they created this mythology. They created this hoax to help him, and it did help him. I'll show you in a second. Here, one more time here. CBS presented options for how the equal time for other candidates could be fulfilled. In other words, CBS said, listen, Stephen, you want to put Talarico on, that's fine, but this triggers broadcast FCC equal time provisions, and therefore you're going to have to bring on candidate A, candidate B, so they can have equal time with candidate C, and you've got to do it between now and the primary election in the next 2 weeks. The Late Show decided to present the interview through its YouTube channel with on-air promotion on the broadcast rather than potentially providing the equal time options. So, as you learned yesterday on this very program, Trump didn't have anything to do with it. The FCC and Brendan Carr didn't really have anything to do with it, other than months ago they said they were going to be enforcing the long-standing equal time rules that go back to the 1930s. And CBS did not say, you shall not do this. All of those things that Stephen Colbert and James Talarico told you happened. No. All CBS said was, you can do it. It's your show. But just so you know, so that we can stay within the law, you're going to have these other people. And it was Stephen Colbert and the people at the show that said, well, hell no, we don't want that. So we're going to create this hoax. We'll show you how that hoax paid off in a second. But last night, Stephen Colbert did have CNN's Caitlin Collins on. And she is, forgive me, not very bright, at least when it comes to these issues and broadcast rules and equal time. I guess she shouldn't have to know this. After all, she's on cable news, which is not beholden to these things. But ask any radio host or any local television host on CBS even, and they'll tell you, we know, we deal with this all the time. There's nothing new here. But here's what Caitlin Collins had to say.
I think that you've seen some people on the right cheering this and saying, well, that's what we want Brendan Carr to do. I think that they don't want a Democratic administration saying that right-wing talk radio must give equal time to Democrats or to see that moment. And so for me personally on our show, I have Democrats and Republicans on. I want to know what everyone's saying. I want my viewers to know what the debate is that's in Washington. I don't think anyone wants the federal government telling people who they should book on their show and who the guests should be on their show.
All right, so she is, in fact, a moron. And she also, in fact, knows nothing about so-called right-wing talk radio. I am, in fact, a right-wing talk radio host. I've been one for over 15 years. I'll tell you exactly what we want. We just had an election in Virginia for governor, right? I had Winsome Sears, the Republican candidate, on all the time. Jason Miyares, the Republican incumbent attorney general, was on my show all the time. Can I tell you something? Caitlin, can I tell you something? We begged Abigail Spanberger to come on the show. We begged Jay Jones, the Democrat nominee for Attorney General, to come on the show. Jay Jones, you know, the guy who text messaged his friends about murdering Republican children. Oh, I wanted to interview him. Abigail Spanberger, who got a free pass from everyone in the media, like the likes of Caitlin Collins. Oh, Abigail Spanberger would go on her show, but she wouldn't come on my show. It's not like I don't have an audience. I was dying to ask her questions because I knew she wasn't a moderate. But she got away with saying she was a moderate because she didn't come on our shows. Conservative talk radio hosts would love to have Democrats come on our show, especially during a campaign. You don't think I didn't want to interview Kamala Harris? So she knows nothing about what we do. Okay, but also she just displayed her ignorance about what equal time rules are. Take a listen.
I think that they don't want a Democratic administration saying that right-wing talk radio must give equal time to Democrats or to see that moment. And
all right, so just so you know, it doesn't matter whether it's a Democrat administration or a Republican administration. If you bring on a candidate, a declared candidate prior to an election, you are required. If the opposing candidate asks for the time, you are required to give them that time. I had to deal with this on my radio station. Back when Barack Obama was president, a Democrat, and we had a candidate on quite a bit, and the Democrat demanded to come on. He got on because that's the law. Now, as you hear a lot of, forgive me, ignorant people like Caitlin Collins say, oh, well, just wait, Democrats are going to have to change the way conservative right-wing talk radio does their job. You're confusing equal time when it comes to having candidates on the air versus the fairness doctrine, which had been in place dictating opinions expressed on the air. You're right. We don't want the government telling hosts of radio shows what opinions can be expressed on the air, or if you provide one opinion, you have to provide equal time to the other opinion. That's not what this is. This is not about expressing opinions and the fairness doctrine so that all sides are heard. This is very narrow and it's very specific. You put candidate A on. If the opponent asks to be on, you have to allow the opponent to be on too. It's that simple. And it only applies to the public airways for radio and broadcast television. That's what CBS is, broadcast television. Okay? So now you are educated. If you could just explain this to Caitlin Collins and Stephen Colbert, and it seems every liberal in the media who is either really stupid about this stuff or just playing dumb, maybe both, but equal time rules are very, by the way, just real fast, just so you can get read in on this, it doesn't apply to pundits or advocates or spokespeople or surrogates, right? So if I wanted to, I could book my show with nothing but surrogate after surrogate after surrogate speaking on behalf of a candidate. That's fine. You don't have to provide equal time. Stephen Colbert can have a litany. Every single guest can come on and say, Talarico should be the Democrat nominee for Senate. Talarico is the best man. And Jasmine Crockett can't say a damn thing about it. But the second he books the candidate, that's when equal time comes in. And it's so insulting because so many of us who have real jobs on real broadcast outlets, either radio stations or television stations, we know this stuff. It happens all the time. But no, by all means, let's get failing Caitlin Collins on the air to talk about it. Now, I keep asking you the rhetorical question. They're either stupid or they're lying to you, probably both. And they are pretty stupid about things. I think in this case, Caitlin Collins is quite stupid about this, or ignorant, let's just say. But I assure you that most of the people involved here, including Stephen Colbert and his production company, and including Congressman Talarico, they know full well what's going on here, and they know full well what they did, and they know full well what they got away with. And understand, the person that they're screwing with this entire scheme, this entire hoax, this entire kabuki theater is Jasmine Crockett, and she knows it. So last night, because he was the flavor of the month, Talarico got to go on The Last Word with Lawrence O'Donnell. Hey, did Lawrence O'Donnell book Jasmine Crockett too? No, he didn't. Now, he didn't have to because he's on cable, not broadcast, but they made a conscious choice. Jasmine Crockett is being put in the corner. So Talarico gets on here, and he continued to lie about this whole thing.
It should be troubling to all of us, regardless of our political affiliations or our political beliefs, that the most powerful people in the country, the most powerful politicians, and the most powerful corporate executives are working together to sell out the First Amendment, to sell out our freedom of speech in order to protect their own power and their own wealth. And that should be concerning to all of us, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, whether you're a progressive or conservative, because an attack on any one of our First Amendment rights is an attack on all of our First Amendment rights.
Oh, he's so reasonable and so relatable and such a nice guy. He's just like, you know, the kid who grew up down the street, went away to Ivy League school, and now has come back. And I want to vote for him. He's so earnest. Please, Congressman, tell me about the Bible and how Christianity is really there to protect people to get abortions. Please. What a scam artist this guy is, and what an absolute fraud he is. And there's Lawrence O'Donnell. Larry, come on, Larry-O. From one Larry-O to another, you're not this dumb. He's not. But he's nodding along. Yes, this is very troubling. I don't care whether you're Republican or Democrat. It shouldn't matter. You should be very concerned about the administration, the government, and corporations silencing, undermining the First Amendment. None of that happened. No, you know what happened? You know what really happened? You know what's really troubling? Is that the scam worked. Within 24 hours, they raised $2.5 million because he's a victim. Poor Jimmy quoting the Bible and telling me how Jesus wants us to protect transgender preschool teachers and their relationship with our children. Congressman Talarico is the victim, damn it. And he parlayed this into $2.5 million in fundraising. And I promise you they know better. I promise you they are you do not run a grown-up professional statewide campaign in Texas without having political operatives, campaign advisors, media experts working for you in your inner circle that know every single syllable in the FCC equal time rules. They know, and they are lying. And it's working. It's absolutely working. And who ends up being the victim? Our gal Jazzy. And she knows too. Trust me, she's got just as many advisors. And look at her. She knows she's been done wrong, way wrong. And she said so yesterday. Remember, up until this moment, the narrative for all the crazy screaming memes on the left was mean old nasty Trump and Brendan Carr and the FCC is squelching the First Amendment and denying a Democrat congressman from going on CBS and Stephen Colbert's show because they're terrified of him and they're just trying to protect Republicans, right? That was the narrative. But Jasmine Crockett, she knows better.
We did receive information suggesting that the federal government did not shut down this segment. Number one, that is my understanding, that the federal government didn't shut this down, and we will do an official statement once we get another official statement that we anticipate is going to be coming from Paramount. All right, so we will read what they say, and then we'll go from there. It's our understanding that Colbert, either Mr. Colbert or CBS, decided to escape all here. And this was because of a fear that the FCC may say something to them, and that there may have been advice to just have me on, and then they could clear the issue. It was my understanding that someone somewhere decided we just don't want to do that, and instead we're going to just do it this way.
Thank you. Thank you. And you're welcome, by the way, because this is exactly what we told you yesterday on the show. CBS said, yeah, you can solve this problem. Just have Jasmine Crockett on. And they said no. They said, no, we'd rather make a big deal out of it, lie, and say that Trump and the FCC is keeping us from having Talarico on the show. Put the segment on YouTube instead, where there are no equal time considerations, but use our television show to promote for 10 minutes the YouTube segment. And then what's the end result? $2.5 million. No one would have given a crap if Talarico had been on CBS. Except for the fact that they'd have to put Jasmine Crockett on too, because that's the law. But instead, they created a hoax and they got $2.5 million. And did this woman seem happy about this to you? She knows they're screwing her. And by they, I mean the Democrat Party of Texas, the National Democrat Party, and Stephen Colbert, the sweetheart of the left. And she went on.
I am tired of people asking whether or not I am electable. The reality is that that is nothing but dog whistle. If you got a super PAC that's doing your bidding, then they need to go ahead and lift you up. What they shouldn't be doing is tearing down a black woman who, number one, is more qualified. These are just the facts. At the end of the day, I am the only one that has owned a small business. I am the only one that has actually practiced law both on the state level and the federal level. I am the only one that has been elected to do work on the state level as well as the federal level. And frankly, I did all of that, and we know that as it relates to my opponent. And God bless, because my dad is a teacher, so I don't want anybody to get this twisted. But he had 2 years where he taught charter school. And then after that, he went into the state house, and then he became a consultant for charter. Mr.
Talarico has been up with a ton of ads this entire campaign.
Yeah.
Do you have any regrets about your campaign strategy?
I don't. Listen, I think that Texans need to, number one, understand that Republicans are going to outspend us come November. This is just the reality. If we spend $100 million, they're gonna spend $200 million. And if the only way that you can get through an election is by spending money, then we're gonna have a problem anyway. We've tried that. We need a candidate that, yes, can raise money, and I am the 5th highest fundraising member of the House. So yes, we need somebody that can get the resources, but more importantly, we need somebody who has a rapport with the people, because when we don't have enough money, because we will not match their money no matter who the candidate is, we never have, we are going to need a little extra something. I am tired of people telling me they don't know how they're going to afford to buy a home. I am tired of people telling me that the tariffs are making them shut down their businesses. This is not who we're supposed to be, and don't get me started on ICE and how we need to rein them in.
On the eve of the first day of early voting, State Representative James Talarico, who is also running for Senate, was slated to appear on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. But that interview only aired on YouTube.
This is the party that ran against cancel culture, and now they're trying to control what we watch, what we say, what we read. And this is the most dangerous kind of cancel culture, the kind that comes from the top.
Unbelievable and shameless and despicable. And, well, he kind of got away with it, right? I mean, do I have to show it to you again? They're bragging about it now. $2.5 million. It's so dangerous. It's so dangerous, that cancel culture. You know, Jasmine Crockett ain't wrong about any of this. She does raise more money than most of the members of Congress. Democrats love it when she raises money for them. They want to keep her going. She's the cash cow. Just don't raise money for yourself. And we want to keep you right here in this little district, which, by the way, I believe has been redistricted out of existence. So she'll be out of a job come next January. That's why she's running for statewide office. And no, she's not going to win the Senate race. And yes, of course, I'm rooting for her to get the nomination because I want the Republican nominee to absolutely destroy her. Listen, I don't have a dog in this fight personally. I'm not a Democrat. But you got to point out the fact that she's being harmed by Democrats. Why? Well, because the Democrats in Texas don't want her to be the nominee. They love for her to raise money. They love for her to be out there, but they do not want her to be the nominee for one of two reasons. Because either A, they think Texan voters are racist. Think about that for a second. They are Texans. They are the Democratic Party of Texas. And they don't want to nominate Jasmine Crockett because they think the people of their own state are racist and won't vote for her. Or hear me out, they are the racists. Could be both. They either hate Texans and think they're racist, or they themselves are racist. But on paper, she's the better candidate. There's no doubt about it. If you're a Democrat, she's right on all the issues. She represents the constituency that Democrats care most about and is the most reliable voting bloc of their party, black women. But they are keeping her down, and they're keeping her down by lying. Remember how I told you she's pissed? Look at her. Look at that face. This is her on Jen Psaki's show yesterday. Let's hear what she had to say, but just look at her. Of course she's pissed. She knows exactly what they're doing to her.
They name-checked you. I mean, they said this. The show was provided legal guidance that the broadcast could trigger the FCC equal time rule for two other candidates, including Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. What do you make of that explanation?
We actually received a phone call, and that was a little bit earlier today. And in that call, they explained that they actually told CBS that they could go ahead and move forward with the interview of James Talarico. They just needed to offer me equal time. I did not get a request from the Colbert show to go on. As you know, I've been on Colbert multiple times. And frankly, if we would have gotten an offer, that would have been great. But we're in the middle of early voting, so I'm kind of focused on being in Texas at this moment. I don't know what to believe, that's for sure. But I got that phone call as I was out talking to voters.
That's it. So there's so many things to talk to you about again. But they called you today, but they decided not to air the interview last night. You've been on Colbert a number of times, as you just said. Did you have any issue?
Yeah, it goes on. But again, Jen Psaki, of course, is playing dumb here because she ain't stupid either. Of course, she's been on Colbert numbers of times, but not as a declared candidate. The last time she was on was May of last year. Since then, she's declared herself a candidate, and that changes the rules. When you're a declared candidate, equal time rules apply. You're welcome. I'm glad I was here to educate you, Jen Psaki, but you know better. I know you do. They're doing her wrong. You almost feel sorry for her. Almost. But I'm sure it'll all get resolved. The bottom line here is you've got to decide, and this is all on the Democrats, because everybody acknowledges now this has nothing to do with Trump, FCC, whatever, despite what Jake Tapper and Jonah Goldberg will tell you. So now the decision you have to make in terms of who the real bad guy is here. You've got the Democratic National Committee. You've got the Democratic Party of Texas. You've got Congressman James Talarico, and you've got Stephen Colbert, and you've got the producers of The Late Show on CBS. Those are all the players involved here who have somehow, one way or the other, maneuvered so that Jasmine Crockett is boxed into the corner, and James Talarico has been promoted to the level where he got a lot of name ID this week and raised $2.5 million in 24 hours. So the opposition, I just laid them out for you, to Jasmine Crockett. Your question, as I give you that multiple choice, who are the racists? It's that simple. All right, coming up in 60 seconds, Zohran Mamdani holding poor New Yorkers hostage for his own political agenda. I'll show you and explain it all in 60 seconds. First, though, international disputes, inflation, rising national debt, digital currency. There's a never-ending list of reasons gold has risen over 700% in the last 20 years, and a never-ending list of reasons many Americans diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals with Birch Gold Group. Gold is a commodity that has thrived during uncertainty, which is why it can be a crucial part of a balanced strategy. It can give you peace of mind, given all the events that could impact the U.S. economy. Why don't you see if holding gold in a tax-sheltered retirement account is right for you, too? Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. Just text my name, Larry, to the number 989898. You're going to receive your free info kit on gold. There's no obligation. You're just going to get very useful information. They have an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. They got tens of thousands of happy customers. I want you to let Birch Gold help you diversify with gold so you, too, can have peace of mind, regardless of the uncertainty. Text Larry to 989898. Again, text my name, Larry, to the number 989898. Do it today. Well, you know what Margaret Thatcher once said about socialism, communism, Marxism. It's all the same. At some point, you run out of other people's money. And we knew it would happen in New York, but we didn't quite realize it would happen this fast. Zohran Mamdani has really expensive, big, life-altering plans for New Yorkers, and he just can't afford it. So what are you going to do? Well, you're going to hold a gun up to the heads of working people in New York, threaten to raise their taxes and gut the budget, and force the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, to acquiesce and accede to your demands. That's right. He's holding hostages, the population of New York City, and he is making demands on the governor of New York. You raise taxes on the entire state, or else I'm going to pull the trigger. I mean, it's what communists do, isn't it? All right, let me lay it out for you, because I know you're not getting this explained to you in any other platforms or any other venues. All right, here's what happened yesterday. First, things are pretty bleak in New York right now. A 19th homeless person has been pronounced dead in this winter. Quoting now from the story, we were also made aware of one more additional death after an individual was found unresponsive on the street living under the Manhattan Bridge last evening. That's from a local New York reporter for the NBC affiliate. This, of course, comes after Zohran Mamdani's big announcement after he was sworn in that he would stop the sweeps of homeless encampments, stop the sweeps of the streets of New York, to make sure you round up people in sub-freezing temperatures so that you could protect them and put them in shelters, because he believes in the rights of people to sleep on the streets and live on the streets and defecate on the streets and urinate on the streets and fornicate on the streets. And, well, it's their right, isn't it? Who are we to sweep them off the streets? And now, well, sure, they're dying. They're literally dying. 19 deaths now. This is New York City, the center of Western civilization in the Western Hemisphere. Also, this just in, somewhat unrelated, New York Post reporting that Mamdani is going to start sweeping homeless encampments again. So see, he can learn, I guess. He's turning on his campaign promise after backlash over cold weather deaths. Boy, if only he had thought this policy through a little bit. And by the way, if people are dying in the streets and then you change your policy on the homeless encampment sweeps, well, what if people are dying on the streets from drug overdoses? What if they're dying on the streets from gang members killing them? You know, what kind of deaths constitute a reexamination of your policies here, Mr. Mayor? We're just looking to be educated. Please help us figure it out. Meanwhile, yesterday, while people are literally dying on the streets because of his policies, he broke down exactly what his fiscal situation was. This is only 2 months after being sworn in. He's begun putting a price tag on all of the free stuff that he's going to give to New Yorkers. And apparently, this stuff isn't actually free. Somebody's got to pay for it. Now, he demanded that, as you know, during the campaign, that he'd pay for all of these free things by raising taxes on the wealthy. Now, we told you on this show that he can promise that all he wants, but the mayor of New York City doesn't have the power to raise income taxes on anyone, let alone the ultra wealthy. Now he's realized that fact. So now he's waiting for the governor of New York to do it. Kathy Hochul has said she won't do it because, see, she's running for election this year, and she's smart enough to know that that's poison come election time. So now what are you going to do? Well, Zohran Mamdani has an idea.
What would rather do is ensure that they remain as they are so that the city can be on firm financial footing. However, in order to get to this point of closing the gap on both this fiscal year and the next fiscal year, we are forced to raid the rainy day fund, the retiree health benefits trust reserve, and to increase property taxes across these other years.
Wow. So they're raiding the rainy day fund, which of course should beg the question, what about when it starts raining? There's a reason why you have a rainy day fund. Well, you better hope there's no rain. And what was the other one?
Fiscal year and the next fiscal year, we are forced to raid the rainy day fund, the retiree health benefits trust reserve.
Retiree health benefits trust reserve. See, these are for city retirees, city employees who are now retired, living on a fixed income. They're on the union health benefit program, and it has reserves in it. You know, because sometimes you need to tap into your reserves to underwrite and pay for the benefits that you're putting out. But you know what? That's only going to be a problem if the cost of health care increases. And that won't happen. We have the Affordable Care Act. So, oh, they're screwed. They're screwed, aren't they? And what was the other thing you're going to do to make this all work?
And to increase property taxes across these other years.
Across the other years, not just raise property taxes this year. No. Raising it across fiscal year 27, 28, 29, and 30, as you can see from the chart there. There's only one thing I want to play from this clip one more time because I'm not quite understanding it. What's the word he used when he explained where he's going to get all the money?
Here in the next fiscal year, we are forced.
That's the word. Forced. He's forced to raid the rainy day fund. He's forced to raid the retiree health benefits reserve, and he's forced to raise taxes across the board to the tune of 9.5%, by the way, on every New York property owner, regardless of your income. I thought it was just the ultra wealthy. Well, because Albany won't do what he demands, this is what he's forced to do. Now, let me just get this straight. You're mayor of New York. You get elected on your socialist agenda. It includes free daycare for all, free health and free transgender procedures for all, free benefits for non-citizens and illegal immigrants, free bus rides. All the bus rides, they couldn't stop talking about the free bus rides. And he had Miss Rachel talk about the free daycare. That was huge. What else did he? Free grocery stores run by the government. Maybe the grocery stores weren't free, but they were subsidized by the government, right? Rent freeze across the board for everybody. So all of the property owners there, who, by the way, are now going to have to pay higher property taxes, can't raise rents to offset the increase in property taxes, right? So all of those free things that he was going to give, put a price tag on them, recognized, it's not free. Someone has to pay for it. Not going to get it from the ultra wealthy getting their income tax increases because the governor knows better. So now he says he's forced to raid the money from all those places. There is another way you can do this, sir. I mean, again, I'm not a smart Marxist like you, and I didn't grow up in a multi-million-dollar family like you. I've actually had to work my entire life, unlike you. I don't put together really great TikTok, Instagram campaign videos that mesmerizes people to vote for me like you. But it seems to me there is an alternative. Instead of raiding all of those funds and increasing property taxes on everyone for the next 5 years, you could, hear me out, not do all of that crap. You could, in fact, stop spending all of that money. In fact, you haven't even started spending it yet. So how about you just don't do it? See, you're going to have to go back on a campaign promise or two. All right. Here's your choice. You renege on the campaign promise that you were going to give all of this free garbage to everybody and act like only the rich would pay for it. Or you can go back on the promise that you would raise taxes on the wealthy because, sir, you can't raise taxes on the wealthy. You're going to have to go back on one of your promises. For me, I think you're better off reneging on the promise for all the free stuff because there's no such thing as free stuff. Face that reality. But no, he can't do that because he's a Marxist. And he's not a Marxist in the model of Karl Marx, who just sat in a library on his ass pontificating about crap that he never really had to deal with or live with or know about or enforce. And he's not a communist like Leon Trotsky, where, he's an intellectual and he sits in a salon with other intellectuals and they sort of just dream up what the world's going to be like. He's not even a Marxist like Bernie Sanders, who knows that this country is never going to adopt the garbage that he tries to put forth, but he sells a lot of books, raises a lot of money, buys a lot of mansions, and flies on a lot of private jets. That's my kind of Marxist. No, he's not a Marxist like any of them. No, he's the real deal. This guy, he's a Stalinist. He's a Maoist. He's a Castro. He's Chavez. He is a true believer, and he's going to do what communists do, which is maintain those policies and then take everybody's money to pay for it. And, by the way, threaten all of the other duly elected officials who may not be on board with your agenda. So now we get to the hostage video part of the press conference. Imagine you're the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, watching this.
For those who have watched budget after budget, it is tempting to assume that we are engaging in the same dance as our predecessors. Let me assure you, nothing about this is typical. That's why our solutions won't be either. There are two paths to bridge this gap. The first is the most sustainable and the fairest path. This is the path of ending the drain on our city and raising taxes on the richest New Yorkers and the most profitable corporations. The onus for resolving this crisis should not be placed on the backs of working and middle-class New Yorkers. If we do not fix this structural imbalance and do not heed the calls of New Yorkers to raise taxes on the wealthy, this crisis will not disappear. It will simply return, year after year, forcing harder and harsher choices each time. And if we do not go down the first path, the city will be forced down a second, more harmful path. Faced with no other choice, the city would have to exercise the only revenue lever fully within our own control. We would have to raise property taxes.
Wow. I mean, I'm used to seeing people with names like Zohran Mamdani who practice the Muslim faith giving an ultimatum like this to people during a hostage scenario or other terrorist activity. I mean, sadly, we've had to see that for the last several decades. But it's really something else when they're doing it in a suit and tie, standing at a podium with the American flag and the state of New York flag behind them, isn't it? But he might as well be ISIS or Al-Qaeda with an ISIS flag behind him, or the Hamas flag, sticking his gun, his AK-47, to the temple of every single New Yorker, saying, I'm going to get my way. Governor Hochul, politicians in Albany, you're going to raise taxes on the wealthy. We can do it the easy way, or we can do it the hard way. What's it going to be? But that's exactly what you're seeing right here. Is anyone surprised? I mean, who could have seen this coming, right? Other than anyone who has any understanding of basic math, let alone economic principles and history. Last 100 years or so should be your guide. This is what they do. Can I just explain to you that when the Bolsheviks took over from the Tsar in Russia, they didn't say that they were going to confiscate everybody's land, everybody's property, the means of production from top to bottom, and everybody's wealth and have it all said. No, they never tell you that when they're going in. No, they promise a worker's paradise. Or if you're Mao, the agricultural paradise, because it was more of an agrarian culture than a manufacturing culture. But it's always promises of free this and free that, and then we're going to pay for it by stealing it from the bourgeoisie and the rich and the oligarchs, not you, the people. And then when that doesn't work out, you get this. I hope you're paying attention. I hope you see what's happening here. Kevin O'Leary gets it. The issue came up on CNN last night, and, well, just enjoy. Because there's nothing like a free market capitalist to sort of shock everybody, to remind them exactly what we're watching.
It is bat poo-poo crazy what he is proposing. And probably sometime next year, within 12 to 18 months, I will meet him in Miami and give him Real Estate Agent of the Year award. Because I'm not happy with what's happening. I can't get across the bridge anymore. I live in Miami Beach. Everybody from New York and New Jersey and Massachusetts is moving into my neighborhood. I'm pissed off. And this guy's just doing more of it. What he's proposing is beyond insane, but I love it.
You are
now,
very
I'm like everybody else. Listen, you guys live here. You're not paying your fair share.
I don't live here.
You've got to pay 110%. That's the right thing to do. Because he's not cutting spending.
No, but
he's just going to tax you into oblivion.
I found this very interesting charts, some data for you, Kevin.
Thank you.
The last time there was a tax hike on the wealthiest, this was in 2021. Take a look at this chart. You see what's going on there? The number of people making more than $200,000 in the city increased. The number of people making between $200,000 and $1 million increased. Everybody who makes a lot of money, there were more of them in New York City.
Okay,
so the idea
Abby,
that there was some...
True, why not increase taxes to 110% if it's so good?
Look,
let's go.
Don't get mad at me.
I'm not mad. I'm excited about it.
I'm just
love
asking
it.
you...
Because I want you to pay, not me.
I'm asking you, is there really proof of the brain drain that you say,
it's
the
called
money drain?
England in the late 60s.
Okay.
It's called
So
France
then why
in the
are
late
there
80s.
more multimillionaires in New York now than the last time they raised
Yeah, but
taxes?
listen,
I don't think they're paying their fair share.
I have lived
They're
in
not
South
paying their fair
Florida for 46 years. And there is no doubt that we are seeing an exodus of very, very wealthy people, billionaires, from California and from New York into South Florida. In Florida, there are no state taxes. Every day I open up the news and there's a new real estate record that has been broken in home sales because Larry Page is moving down and he just bought a place for $100 and some million. Zuckerberg's moving down. So the bottom line is this. When you put a hike on taxes on just the very wealthy, you run the risk of those very wealthy not paying it because they will find a way to have a loophole and to skirt those taxes, even if it means moving to Indian Creek and living in billionaires' bunker. They can afford to do so.
Can I just quickly jump in here and then we'll get back to it? Imagine how humiliating it must be to be Abby Phillip and have Anna Navarro be the voice of reason. To have Anna Navarro explain to you, no, actually, honey, Kevin's got a point here. Anna Navarro is actually educating you on the reality of the situation. I mean, Abby, seriously, you should just give it up, man. This is the bottom of the bottom. Anna Navarro is schooling you on economics? Yes, that's where we are. Okay, Abby, wrap it up for us.
The people, the people who have to live in New York to work may not be able to afford to do that. But if you've got your private plane and you've got the ability to move,
Anna, we're talking about people who make more than $1 million a year. It's not exactly. I mean, maybe in New York it's
is that
middle
what he's
class.
going to tax people? In California, it's billionaires.
That's what the proposal. The proposal is people who make more than $1 million a year. It's a very specific group of people. And I'm just asking, realistically, are we really going to see what you're claiming we're going to see? And yeah, there are
we're seeing it.
There are tons of wealthy people moving from California, from all over the country to Florida.
But it's not the
and to
person
Texas,
it's not the person making $1 million a year, which in New York is not as much as it sounds in other places.
So
it's the person making $50 million a year.
Exactly.
That's moving.
Exactly. So people making $50 million a year are moving, but many other people who are making much less than that, but still much more than middle-class people, are probably not moving.
No, they're not moving. They're stuck there. And oh, by the way, if Albany does not raise taxes to the level that Zohran Mamdani is demanding in his hostage video, then the property tax increase, it's going to affect everyone in New York City who owns property, regardless of their income. Average bottom is $150,000 a year based on the reporting I saw. You make $150,000 a year and you live in New York City, you're like lower middle class even. You probably have a 2-income family. You're both making about $75,000, $80,000. I mean, that's devastating. And it doesn't take Kevin O'Leary or even Anna Navarro to recognize how awful this is. Check out this guy. He lives in New York, Queens, in fact, same place Zohran Mamdani lived. He voted for Zohran Mamdani. He's a Democrat. He's the Queens borough president. After the Marxists' remarks yesterday about what he's forced to do to the city budget, to the reserves, and to property taxes, let's hear what he had to say.
Came to pass have on your constituents who are living in 1- and 2-family homes versus apartments?
Well, we saw the foreclosure crisis. Where did it peak at? The foreclosure crisis always peaked in Southeast Queens. So without a doubt, you're pushing people out of their homes. And even as we talk about a pathway to affordable housing and a pathway to ownership, it's hard to buy a home now, so you're really setting back generational wealth, and you're going to force people out of their homes. And we've already seen what happened in 2008. The Southeast Queens was hit hard, extremely hard.
That wasn't what the campaign.
That's right. You're going to force people out of their homes, which, by the way, you're going to force people out of their homes. You're going to force property owners to abandon their apartment buildings, and you're going to force businesses out of the city. And in a normal time, when you had a normal mayor, that would mean you've got a lot of abandoned buildings, and you've got a lot of abandoned homes, and you've got a lot of abandoned businesses. But no. Not with the Marxists, not with the Maoists, not with the Stalinists, not with Zohran Mamdani. No. He'll figure out a way for the government to take over all those buildings. They'll be the landlord. They'll be the property owner. They'll be the business owner. And, of course, that'll cost money, too. Gosh, I wonder how he'll pay for that. I wonder. No, I don't. No, I don't. Neither do you. You know very well, because you're not dumb. You know math, and you know history. All right, coming up in 60 seconds, we've got more of Kevin O'Leary last night on CNN and, well, really what could be the end of Abby Phillips on that network. We'll show you why in 60 seconds. But first, I want to tell you about my friends at besthotgrill.com. They have the products you need to stay warm and eat well when it's cold outside. Turn your wood-burning fireplace into a source of emergency heat with Rasmussen Chill Buster, vent-free, gas logs, and Alterna vent-free fireballs. They require no electricity, just natural gas or propane. So it'll keep your family warm in case the power goes out. And I've seen where they make these in their U.S. factory, and it's phenomenal. Best quality you're ever going to see. But even more importantly, from my perspective, if it's cold outside, you can still keep grilling if you have a Solar infrared gas grill. Solar infrared burners heat up in just 3 minutes. I had friends over this weekend. I had to walk through the snow in my back deck to get to my Solar grill. But once I turned it on, those burners reached 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit in just 4 minutes in the freezing cold. And within 5 minutes, I had the juiciest, most beautiful ribeyes you're ever going to see. In fact, the Solar infrared grill heats up just as well in cold than it does in the heat of summer. And it grills food so much faster, so you're not stuck out there freezing your wahulis off. The intense heat also results in the juiciest food you're ever going to taste from your grill. Keep your family warm and well-fed even when it's frigid outside. Go to besthotgrill.com. You'll see a picture of me there and my colleagues. Complete your personalized log sizing form and order a Solar demo rental grill. I love it because you might not believe me about the Solar infrared grill. Get your demo rental. Try it out yourself before you buy. No one else is offering you that. Go to besthotgrill.com. Stay warm with Solar infrared and Rasmussen gas logs and fireballs. Go to besthotgrill.com. That's besthotgrill.com. Yesterday, we had an amazing moment on CNN when Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, he spoke for all of us in addressing everybody at the panel. He said what we've all been thinking for the last several years watching that show. And we've got some data, some numbers, some ratings that will show you exactly why Abby Phillip's days are numbered. That's coming up in a second. But first, let's swing over to a successful cable station. It's called Fox News. And you had your Vice President, J.D. Vance, on yesterday. He was commenting on Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's big international debut at the Munich Security Conference.
Martha, you bring me on your show and you show me the most uncomfortable 20 seconds of television I've ever seen. My takeaway from that.
What happened there? What do you think?
Well, I think it's a person who doesn't know what she actually thinks. And I've seen this way too much in Washington with politicians where they are given lines. And when you ask them to go outside the lines they were given, they completely fall apart because, look, does anybody really believe that AOC has very thoughtful ideas about the global world order or about what the United States should do with our policy in Asia or our policy in Europe? No, this is a person who is mouthing the slogans that somebody else gave her. And it
I guess no one gave her one for that one.
I guess not. And it shows how thin the Democrats' policy actually is on all these very, very important questions. Look, that was embarrassing. If I had given that answer, I would say, you know what? Maybe I ought to go read a book about China and Taiwan before I go out on the world stage again. I hope that Congresswoman Cortez has the same humility. I'm skeptical.
All right. So now, of course, they were talking about that clip that we featured quite prominently on Monday of AOC having to and ah and sort of fake her way through that question about whether we should defend Taiwan if China invades. I believe I referred to that clip as the Hindenburg crashing into the Titanic at Chernobyl. And any normal, truthful, fact-based, objective observer, even Democrats, by the way, I saw commenting on this as well, would tell you the same thing. That was a disaster for AOC. Even the New York Times said, well, they didn't call it a disaster. I think they called it some stumbles. She had some stumbles in Munich. Any normal observer, especially somebody whose job it is to deliver you the news, will tell you that that was not good for AOC. Which brings us to Abby Phillip on CNN, because you see, over on that station, they had a conversation about the exact same thing. Look, on the Chiron. But of course, the story wasn't about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and her disastrous response about Taiwan in Munich. No, you see what the Chiron says? No, the story is conservatives pounce. The story is right rips Ocasio-Cortez over response. You don't have to be right. You don't have to be conservative to rip Ocasio-Cortez. All right, So let's get Abby Phillip's analysis as a journalist, as a newswoman, as the host of a political show on CNN. What's her analysis of AOC in Munich? Okay, let's watch.
A flub for AOC, but the question is also, what happens when the president, the actual president of the United States, does very similar things on the world stage? So look, I'll give you that AOC probably should have been more ready for that question, but are we going to really pretend that the actual president of the United States has not made similar or perhaps worse flubs on the global stage? Bad answers, bad answers. What do you think should happen to Donald Trump as a result of his bad answers?
AOC word salad girl.
What about
in the
when
last
Donald
election.
Trump in 2024 said, I think Taiwan should pay us for defense?
Typically for you,
It was terrible. John, hey, I'm just asking for you all to apply the same
Trump's hilarious.
standard.
I think he makes mistakes
to
all the time, and I
president
crack
as
up
you
laughing,
do
just
to
like I cracked
AOC.
up at Joe Biden when he made.
Okay, so you saw what happened there. And our hat tip to our buddy Western Lensman. He's got a great X account where he finds fabulous videos, and he put together that montage. I subscribed to his account. You should too. You saw the montage. Abby Phillip's entire segment, the entire approach to the topic, the entire focus, despite what the Chiron says, where I thought we were talking about AOC. No. Every single question uttered by Abby Phillips during the entire segment on CNN was, well, Trump, but Trump and Trump. There's Trump. What about Trump? You got Trump. Well, there is the Trump. And then Trump. Have I mentioned Trump? And listen, I get it. In cable news, if you talk about Trump, you're probably going to get good ratings. But it's funny. This time around for CNN, that ain't working out very well. No, in fact, quite the opposite. It worked okay for them in the first term. But you see, there's talking about Trump, and then there's, well, what you just saw. I'll show you how the ratings are looking right now. It ain't pretty for the network, and certainly not pretty for the lovely young Abby Phillip. But that's a perfect example of what the problem is over there. She's the host of the show. She's a teleprompter reader. She even had to pull out the piece of paper. Where is it? With the notes. Oh, hold on. Oh, there it is. She had to pull out the piece of paper to read the quotes from Trump. She had a whole cheat sheet prepared there for herself. But Trump, and then there's Trump, and what about Trump? And Trump. And it reaches a point where it's absurd, and people turn the channel. That's why I get somewhat hesitant to show you too many clips here. But something happened at the end of this segment that was cathartic. I'll show it to you. Here's what led up to it. Watch.
They want to look
Why
at them
are you
again.
obsessed with him having them if he can't do anything
Because
with
he's
them?
creating
You know what
a
I'm saying?
pattern.
Like, what are you talking about?
Because you're creating the likelihood where he can
What
come up with a
likelihood?
different...
He's going to make fake ballots for the next time out of the old ballots
You think
from
that's
this
out of
time?
the question.
Oh, okay.
But let me just make this point, which I think is...
This is deep stuff, lady.
Okay, let me just say something, though. We are seeing this happen over and over again, where the federal government is fabricating things, lying.
Yes.
Just in the last few weeks, we have seen cases involving... May I? We have seen cases involving federal agents with a Venezuelan national in Minneapolis, who they claimed had charged them with a snow shovel and attacked them.
What does that have to do with the
Let me get my
ballot?
point across, and then you can. And the point is
Help me.
The point is that they charged them criminally, and when they went to court, evidence proved that what they had
What does
said
that have to
was
do
a
with
lie.
ballots?
That this government lies. That's the point.
They want
All right, so Anna Navarro, obviously the conversation had to do with Fulton County accusing the DOJ of misleading a judge about the raid of the ballots. And of course, the conversation was that the Trump administration would manufacture fake ballots to prove that Fulton County cheated in the 2020 presidential election or something. And it took Anna Navarro, that entire narrative about a dude with a shovel in Minneapolis, to just say, they'll lie. They'll lie. So Kevin O'Leary, who's saying, would you get to the point? What the hell are you talking about? Just finally, she said, because they'll lie. They'll lie. That's the point. And then what happened next? Well, this is what happened next. Take a look. You'll see Anna Navarro just finished her moment there, right? And then Abby Phillip asks Kevin O'Leary for any final thoughts.
Kevin, a quick last word.
Oh, wow.
Which I'm
My
not sure.
My last word is, you're all nuts. Like, that's just...
Oh, my God.
Thank you.
Where's the lie? He speaks for all of us. And again, listen, just so you know, if I were the host of this show, although I would never host a show like this, because the whole conceit of this show is to everybody yell at each other and talk over each other. And unless you can really manage a table of big personalities like that, it's chaos and pretty much unwatchable. But seriously, if I were Abby Phillip, I would not be pleased with that. Who wants that on their show? But she lost control months ago on this thing, okay? This isn't even about Kevin O'Leary. Kevin O'Leary just said the most natural, realistic, truthful thing you're ever going to hear on this program, except when Scott Jennings is there, of course. Scott Jennings can't say that because he's on the payroll, but I know he thinks it. You can see it in his eyes. So now watch the reaction after Kevin O'Leary says something very natural. I mean, I'm sorry. If Abby Phillip is not pleased with this, she only has herself to blame because she lets these nutbags on the show.
Kevin, a quick last word.
Oh, wow.
Which I'm
My
not sure.
My last word is, you're all nuts. Like, that's just...
Oh, my God.
Thank you, Kevin. That's
guys,
Am I in on that? Okay.
Look, we got to keep it together here, okay?
We are. Too late.
Honestly, I mean, there's a way to talk about these things. If you don't have anything to say, just say that, and I won't come to you next time.
You don't
All
have
right,
basic
next
information,
for us,
Kevin. You don't know who's running for
everyone,
the Senate
thank
in
you
Texas.
for being here.
That was a stretch. It was
Next,
insane.
excuse me,
A shovel.
excuse
to the
me,
ballot?
stop,
A shovel?
Kevin,
The
stop.
federal government
Next for us.
It's creating
You know what
a
I'm saying? Like,
pattern.
what are you
He's
talking
creating a pattern.
about?
Because you're creating the likelihood where he can
What
come up with a
likelihood? He's
different...
going to make fake ballots for the next...
Oh, there's an edit in there. They went back to the moment. But actually, I'm sorry this isn't the clip I was hoping it was. Because as they're all talking off camera here, what?
Everyone, thank you for being here.
That was a stretch. It was
Next.
insane.
They're all screaming at each other with their mics off. The best part, we don't have the best part. Abby Phillip then says, next, we pay a tribute to the passing of the Reverend Jesse Jackson. As they're still screaming at each other. Oh, anyway.
Excuse me.
A shovel.
Excuse
to the
me.
ballot?
Excuse me. I'm trying to honor Jesse Jackson here. Look at that face. That is a woman who has lost control of her show. She was so excited. We're going to give you your own show. We're going to put your name on it. It's going to be fantastic. Yeah. She's lost complete and total control of the show. The good news for Abby Phillips is that I don't think she's going to have to worry about this much longer. Our buddy Joe Concha there at Fox News Channel did a little digging and provided this latest ratings breakdown. This is from Friday, the 13th of February, just this last Friday. But honestly, this is pretty much what happens almost every day. Take a look now. The top 17 programs in cable news rankings are all from one network, Fox News Channel. And in fact, number 17 is The 5 when they rerun it at 12 a.m., midnight. So the midnight rerun of The 5, which runs live at 5 p.m., the midnight rerun is still a higher rated program than any other news show on any of the other news networks. But then you still look at that column on the left, the top 30, and you suddenly start to see some MS Now shows, some Ms. Now, right, creeping in there. And again, the only Fox shows that are also intermixed there are either Fox and Friends from 7 in the morning, by the way. A 7 in the morning show is outdoing the primetime lineup on Ms. Now for the most part. And then the 1 a.m. running of Jesse Waters, the rerun, that's sitting there at number 21. Then you've got MS Now. Do you see on the top 30 there, on the first column of the cable news rankings, CNN doesn't rate. It doesn't show up anywhere. You got to go all the way over to the second column there to number 34, and you get the 4 p.m. show, The Arena with Casey Hunt. The 4 p.m. show. You're not even in primetime yet. Number 36, you get The Lead with Jake Tapper, which is 5 p.m. Again, I mean, barely primetime, but not really. You know, most accounts primetime starts 6 or 7 o'clock. Then you get Aaron Burnett at 7. Then again, we're down to number 41 now. Anderson Cooper, what the hell happened to him? 8 p.m. That used to be the slot. 8 p.m. was Larry King live on CNN, Bill O'Reilly. on Fox News, and then I think Keith Olbermann over on MSNBC back in the day. Now you've got Anderson Cooper all the way at number 42 in the rankings for the 8 p.m. slot on CNN. And where's Abby Phillips, you may be asking? Where's our gal Abby and that brilliant panel show we were just enjoying? Well, you're going to have to go all the way down to number 48, 10 p.m., 48, with 638,000 viewers. By the way, this isn't even the demo numbers. Demo is adults 25 to 54. That's really who advertisers care about. So this is just everyone watching, which means probably a ton of people over 80 who just don't know how to change the channel. And they've got 638,000 watching Abby Phillips' show, her 1-hour show at 10 p.m. Hey, Kevin McMahon, our great executive producer here on this program for Town Hall. Kevin, on an average day, what kind of viewership does this show have?
Across all of our platforms?
Across all our platforms. Well, yeah, because CNN you can get on multiple platforms. You can get it on cable. You can get it on satellite. You can get it on streaming. Apples to apples. Across all of our platforms, what kind of numbers are we getting on a daily basis for our 1-hour show?
I would probably say about 500,000.
About 500,000. So 500,000 per day. And Abby Phillips, and I assure you their budget is bigger, is just a little bit more than that. Fascinating.
Booyah.
Absolutely fascinating. What do you think we'd do with her budget, Kev?
I would go to the Big Mac, obviously.
That's right. By the way, while we're looking at these numbers, because I don't want to beat up on poor Abby Phillip too much, earlier in the program, we pointed out how stupid Caitlin Collins is. I'm sorry, ignorant of broadcast rules. Look at her. 55, the 9 p.m. show on CNN. The Source with Caitlin Collins clocks in at number 55. The lowest ranking show on Fox News is Hannity at number 31, the 2 a.m. showing. That's just devastating and unsustainable. If you look, that's a lot of red. That's a lot of CNN there in the ranking number 40 and below, all the way down. Unsustainable. The good news is the deal between Warner Brothers and Paramount is back on the table. You remember Netflix was trying to do a deal with Warner Brothers, and they were doing a friendly merger, and I don't think the government's going to approve it for antitrust purposes, but as of now, even the shareholders don't want it. Paramount is now back in talks with Warner. Warner is open to the conversations. The shareholders like the deal because it's better than the Netflix deal. And if that happens, CNN will be under new ownership. More importantly, they'll be under the umbrella of CBS News that's now been taken over by Barry Weiss, who's actually, bringing journalism back little by little. The left hates her. And that can only be good news for the rest of us and really bad news for Abby Phillip, Caitlin Collins, Anderson Cooper, and Jake Tapper. You hate to see it. All right, guys, thanks for watching. That was fun. Appreciate your viewership. I appreciate you subscribing, and I appreciate you liking our video. Great show today and great audience. I was watching the live chat during some of those longer clips, and you guys are having a party. Let's do some super chats here. We've got $5 from our buddy Casperius over there on Rumble. He says, I would love it if the FTC came out and said that Crockett is being prevented from equal time on the Colbert Show, not some Republican. Well, FCC, and technically she's not being protected from equal time because they didn't air that interview on broadcast. But, I mean, the rules are there and everybody knows it. Anyone who still says it's Republicans that are doing this are just flat out lying to you. But you're right. It would be nice to have some validation of that issue. I think they're just staying out of it. Thank you for that, Casperius. We've also got Dave B700 with a $4.99 super chat. Riddle me this, Batman. Ooh, Riddler action, little DC comic action. What do student protesters know about ICE's real record, or do they only hear anti-ICE propaganda? The answer is the latter. They only hear anti-ICE propaganda. They do not hear about what ICE is really doing, and by the way, about the people who are being saved. See, you never hear about the murders and rapes that don't happen because ICE has deported 3 million people in the last year. You never hear about those crimes that don't occur because the criminal murderers and rapists have been apprehended. Thank you, Dave. Great point. Public trust issues with a $2 super chat. We are at the singularity with the speed of debunking. Yeah, we debunked the Colbert thing, Johnny on the spot yesterday. It was beautiful, and we were plugged in. Thank you, public trust issues. $2 super chat again. Crockett defending Trump administration is bizarro world right. Well, sort of defending. Basically what she said was, yeah, we've been told that this wasn't the government that did this, and it wasn't CBS either. It was Colbert. The call was coming from inside the studio. Angela, child of God, with the $2 super chat. Oh, what a beautiful picture there, especially for this Ash Wednesday. Thank you, Angela, for that. Thought libs didn't want white men. More hypocrisy. Oh, no. Trust me, they are racist, especially those Texas Democrats. They know what's up. Thanks, Angela. Jeff Depew with the $2 super chat. Thumbs up, subscribe, share with everybody you know. Well, Jeff, thank you for that. And yeah, you didn't have to give us a $2 super chat for that message, but it did get more prominence. Everyone do what Jeff said. Give us a thumbs up right now. Lady Cop. Oh, hey, Lady Cop. Good to see you. How you hanging in there, man? $2 super chat. Love the show and the chat. Y'all cheer me up. Yeah, Lady Cop just lost her husband. So you're in our hearts and you're in our prayers. God bless you. GBF, God's best friend, £2 super chat. Mamdani declares free Palestine in New York. Well, there's free everything else. See, I bet you'd be okay with free Palestine in New York, just not, Palestine. GBF, £2 super chat. Free Jewish hostages from New York. Oh, gotcha. All right, that makes a little more sense, I suppose. GBF, £2 super chat, free leering in New York. Yeah, it's all free. It's all free. Angela with a $5 super chat. NYC reminds me of cable. You must pay for all the BS until cutting the cord. The rich will cut the cord. Move out of New York. Elections have consequences. They sure do. Thank you, Angela. $5 super chat from 57FR4422. Whoever you are. That's quite a name. Thank you for addressing the man dummy stuff. Those of us living in New York but not New York City know it will trickle out to us if it hasn't already. It's crazy. Yeah, listen, I don't know where I'm guessing you might be in Staten Island. Staten Island might be the last holdout refuge there in the 5 boroughs. It breaks my heart. I used to live in New York. Love that town. $5 more from public trust issues. Abby level TDS is why Trump is mentioned so much in the Epstein files. They just can't stop talking about him. Exactly. All the Trump mentions, they use the word mentions because there aren't emails from Trump or to Trump or anything. No, it's all references to Trump because they can't stop talking about Trump, especially that Steve Bannon guy. Might want to look into that. Thank you. Stumble Boots, $2 super chat. You're cool too, my friend. Thank you for that. UK Patrick, £5. To paraphrase President Reagan, Mamdani has read about Marxism. Kevin O'Leary understands it. Oh, I forgot about that great Reagan quote. Well, I quoted Thatcher today, so UK Patrick should quote Reagan, and that is only poetic justice. Harry Grafton is a Penguins fan. $2 super chat. MS Now equals more shite no one watches. It's a good anagram for MS Now, isn't it? Thank you for that, and thank you for all your super chats, and thank you for all your support, all the love you've given our show over the last several months, and frankly, over the last couple of years, our little show that could, can, and is, and we're thrilled with it and thrilled with our community. We will be back tomorrow for more. Lord knows the news cycle will continue to deliver things for us to talk about. So can't wait to see you. Thanks for watching. We'll be back same time, same place. In the meantime, my name's Larry O'Connor, and you can call me Larry.